Hello, readers. Welcome back to The Adulterous Whore. I'm your host, Stacey. I am sorry that there was no podcast episode last week. It was a fuck of a week. I won't go into it, but my kids are finally back at school, so my house is quiet. Had time to reflect on exactly what I wanted to talk about today. So for season 2, episode 20, I know, how did we get here? I'm going to do a August reading wrap up of everything that I have read this month. And then my September TBR. Now, I'm not going to tell you what's out in the wild today where I normally would. You're going to see what I have done a little bit later. So I will tell you what books are out just in a different section. You're just going to have to wait for that. So I started off my reading month of August trying to play catch up with my arcs. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I had a little bit of a lag with my reading. I was really struggling just to sit and listen to an audiobook or even just to sit down and read. So I got a little bit behind. Now, I spent August basically playing catch up, and I'm not quite there yet. I am maybe about a week behind, and you're going to see what I mean when I tell you what books are out today. A lot of them were on my TBR for last week, and I'm just getting to them this week. But I was actually quite far behind. Like some of my audiobooks were from June that I was listening to in August. That's how far behind I was because my mental health took a little bit of a slide. But I did get some library books and I had to get those out of the way as well because they had such long waits. And the first one that I did was actually My Life with the Water Boys by Ali Novak. And you might be going, why did you read that? Well, I needed to catch up because there was a second book. I hadn't read it yet. And my daughter was an extra on this Netflix show for season 2. And it's funny because she was just explaining to me yesterday that they're actually filming season 3 right now. And they really wanted her to come back. And she's in school doing film studies. So she couldn't. And she was like, it's a real shame because they were offering her quite a lot of time on screen. So that would have been really cool. But I wanted to start the TV show from the beginning because I haven't seen it yet, but I did watch parts of the episode where she was in just so I could see her. But I was like, I got to play catch up now. So I want to start the show. So I started out my reading month catching up on the Waterboy books. And then from my Read Like Rory challenge, I did The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. Now, it's funny because I know I read this in school. And when I was of school age, it was weird to be talking about a book from the perspective of a child. But I actually listened to the book this time around done by Selma Blair, and she was phenomenal, by the way, as a narrator. I actually could see the genius in what they did when they published the diary. And then I did The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig for Hannah, because on the Top Link TBR, we did our top 10 books of the year so far. And this one was pretty high up on Hannah's list. Now, had I read this before we did the list, would it have made my list? No. It was a solid book. I enjoyed it, but no, I wasn't drawn into the story as much as I was hoping to be. And the pacing was off a little bit for me. I don't know. It was a really good book. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sorry, Hannah, that one wouldn't have made it into my top 10. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I really wanted to read the next installment. So I had to wait ages for my library to get a copy of this. And I got a Skip the Line book for 7 days. So I had to stick it in there because I really wanted to read the next installment. And I'm really glad that I did it because it was brilliant. Such a brilliant book. And then the next library book I did was The Amendment by Kirsten Modglin. And I don't know if you know what this series is about, but this woman's kind of married to this guy who likes to rape and kill women. And she knows all about it, and he thinks he's getting away with it, right? Well, this installment is all about the aftermath of her cleaning up his mess and trying to understand him better. And it was good. It was really good. And I don't know if you've ever read them, but they're quite short books. So I'm now have to wait for number 3 because I think it's called The Atonement. And I don't quote me on that, but my library doesn't even have it. So I might have to order the box set for me, right? And then for my conspiracy theory with Stacey section that I've been doing, I read Chaos by Tom O'Neill. Now, this book is basically about this journalist, and he was looking at whether or not there was a connection between the CIA and mind control and what Charles Manson got up to. And he's not a conspiracy theorist, and he says this several times during the book. What he says is that he was supposed to write a story for the newspaper or magazine that he was working for at the time. And he kind of got obsessed with finding out more about the Manson murders, why they did it, how did they end up there? And the stuff he was uncovering was insane. Like they knew he was a career criminal and he broke parole several times, but he never went back to jail. There was a lot of mishandling, and there's a lot of evidence to suggest that Charles Manson may well have been some kind of an informant, not necessarily for the CIA, because the FBI had big beef with the Black Panthers. So it was a really interesting book because reading it as a conspiracy theorist, he doesn't think of himself as a conspiracy theorist because he likes facts. So that book was brilliant. Okay. So moving into my arcs that I was really freaking behind with. So I started off with The Poison Paradox by Hadley Field and Felix Green. Now, this one was a cozy fantasy, and it was probably one of my favorite reads of the month. I really, really enjoyed it. For anybody that liked House on the Cerulean Sea, I think you should give it a shot because it was really sweet, really mystical, and I absolutely freaking adored it. And then I did The Night Watcher by Daphne Wollstonecraft, and this one was a mystery thriller as well. Now, this woman, she was being babysat, and this man wearing a mask snuck in and killed her babysitter when she was a child. And he kind of goes dormant. And what he does is he watches for ages, and then he kills the person, like the woman. And now she's taken over for her father's podcast for like supernatural stuff. And a woman calls in, and what she's saying sounds exactly like the murder she witnessed as a child, and it was brilliant. The suspense, like I'm getting chills just thinking about it again. I was absolutely terrified. And if I was one of those people where I would have slept with the light on, if I'd been sleeping alone, maybe I would have because, oh my God, it was terrifying. And then I read The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam by Megan Bannon. And that one was a sci fi fantasy. It was just okay for me. It was a little slow. I like my fantasies to be a little bit more punchy, and this one really missed the mark a little bit for me. These people, one of them is an immortal, like demigod, that's Rosie, and the other one's like a scientist, and they get trapped in this portal. And honestly, I was a little bored. I'm not gonna lie. I could see the genius in the writing. I wasn't a big fan. I really wasn't. And then I did Falling for You Again by Kerry Lonsdale. And this one was a romance women's fiction. So this woman, she is supposed to inherit this furniture store warehouse where they handcraft all this furniture. And she finds out her uncle is selling and she is pissed. But before, she had run away from her wedding and she was on a plane going to Vegas and she meets this guy on the plane and they marry for 24 hours just to spend time together. And then they go to Hawaii for a little bit and then they divorce. Turns out it's his family's company who is buying up the store and the warehouse space. And oh my God, so they decide to get back together and remarry to put a kibosh on the deal. Like I actually really enjoyed the crap out of it. I was really invested. I loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. I loved everything about this book. It was whimsical and cute. I really liked it. And then I read a nonfiction book. I don't read massive amount of nonfiction books, but this one really it struck a chord with me. And it's called The 13 Power Moves of Dark Psychology by Lena Sisko. So she's talking about how you can diffuse a toxic situation with somebody who's using dark psychology against you. So if you're up against a narcissist at work, or maybe you have a toxic relationship with your mother, whatever it is, she tells you how to diffuse a situation using the correct words so that you don't get dragged down into the victimization of what happens to people when people use dark psychology against them. And I was absolutely blown away. I literally ordered a copy after I heard the audiobook. I have a copy coming because it was brilliant. I'd like to be able to tap the tips and tricks because you can only do so much via audio, right? I write notes down. I can't read my handwriting half the time. So I'm like, oh, well. But I highly recommend it as a nonfiction book for self-help. It will get you out of all kinds of jams. I'm not even joking. Like it was really well done. Really well. That was probably one of my favorite nonfictions of the year. Then I did Every Mother's Nightmare by S.E. Lyons. And this one was like a mystery thriller, but it was like a psychological mystery thriller. And what happens is this mother gets a call because her daughter is at camp, working the camp. Like she wanted to go and be with her friends to be at the camp. But she gets into a fight with her mom and she ends up going and working at the camp instead, which is not really what she wanted. And the mother gets a phone call stating that her daughter had woken up naked in the tent that she didn't belong in. It was somebody else's tent and she had been drugged and she couldn't remember anything. So it was all unraveling what happened that night and who committed the crime because somebody dies. And yeah, it kept me guessing the whole time. It was like, look over here, look over here, look over here. Oh, wait, it's over there. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, it was awesome. I love twisty twisties like this. And then the ending was like, whoa. And then the ending was like, whoa. I'm like, oh my freaking God, man. I didn't see none of that shit coming. Not one drop of it. Now, this one was unexpected delight. I read The Unraveling of Julia by Lisa Scottoline. And this one, again, like I was on a real mystery thriller binge, apparently, because most of my books this month were in that genre. So what happens is Julia, she is alone. She knows she's adopted. And then her husband, during like a mugging, gets killed, stabbed to death. And she's trying to get over the death. Then she finds out that some woman that she doesn't know in Italy has died and left her estate, house, money, you name it. Absolutely cray-cray. So she decides to go out to Italy to see, well, is this my biological family? Because I don't know them, right? Her parents are both dead. So she goes out to Italy and there's this whole mystery about who this woman was, where her mother is, what the hell is going on. People are following her. Like, dude, I was on the edge of my freaking seat. If you read any mystery thriller this month, this has to be it because, my God, like I was absolutely hooked. I don't think I've ever read such a beautifully crafted thriller than this. And I'm not joking. And that's my bread and butter genre, okay? I have been a thriller reader since teenagers, okay? I'm an old fart now. So trust me on this. And then I read The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, this is part of a series I'm already loving. The Spell Shop was the first book. Now, they are basically standalone novels because the Spell Shop had one set of characters and this one had a brand new set of characters. And the only thing in common that they really had was that they're in the same universe and the talking plant Cass is central in this book, even though he's not in it, than he was in book one. And I'm hoping that there's going to be a book where the two come together because I really enjoyed this. So this librarian gets turned into stone for creating Kaz, okay? So she's sitting in the library and she's been turned into some kind of statue. And it's 5 years on and the fire at the library, which we see in the first book, somebody takes her and ships her off to this magical island where there are magical greenhouses because the curator there has been hoping for some help because everything's starting to fail and he's the only one there and it's a big place. Now, he somehow manages to undo the magic and he thinks that she's there to help bring these greenhouses back, that she has magical powers. And really, she doesn't, but she knows how to do spells. This is something she's not supposed to do. And she works with him and they fall in love and they save the greenhouses and they awaken the magical plants. There's lots of magical plants. And I was absolutely charmed with it. I thought it was absolutely adorable. I didn't enjoy it as much as the Spell Shop. I'm not going to lie, but I thought it was a really great book, like a really solid book. And then I read The Sandy Page Bookshop by Hannah McKinnon. And this one was women's fiction. She worked for a publishing house. She loses her job because one of the people that she found actually stole the manuscript that she was pushing forward. So she gets fired. Her fiance dumps her. Shitty, right? So she goes home and she takes what she has money wise and takes one of these historical buildings and rents it to turn into a bookshop. Somebody that really liked her when they were kids is helping her like do all the renovation stuff on the cheap, and people are coming in to help. And we get the points of view of her as a store owner, a kid that goes to work there, and what's happening with their family, and then the man Luke that he likes her and he's trying to win her over, and it's really freaking cute. Now I like the fact that she took this bookstore and she kept building on the business. She was always so busy, and I actually really liked it. I didn't think I was going to. Like, when I requested this one, I think I was just requesting for the sake of requesting, but this book actually really blew me away. I actually really enjoyed it, so I highly recommend it. And then I read All Because of You by Lisa Lovick. Now, this one is basically like book You, okay? So he is motherfucking stalker, all right? He spots this woman in a grocery store. Her name's Serena, and he finds her grocery list. She drops on the floor. So he's got her information, and he literally works his way in there, and he installs cameras in her house to keep an eye on her, apps on her phone, and we hear it all from his perspective. So he's talking in his head, and he's justifying everything, and it's absolutely freaking terrifying. And it's funny because I didn't much care for the book series You. I think I made it halfway through the second book, but I actually quite enjoyed this audiobook. So I just went to the library now, and I've got the first two books, audiobooks coming. I've got holds on them right now because I'm wondering if maybe the audiobook was the way to go. Maybe I missed an opportunity with the book series. So I'm really excited to get those, even though my TBR is out of fucking control and I probably should stop. And the best part is this book is actually a debut, and I thought the author did a really solid job of keeping the pace, giving you the creeps. I'm not fucking joking. This dude, Chris, is a fucking creep. All right. So be prepared for that. Okay. So there's quite a few triggers in there. I would check the triggers before you dive in. This one was Death in the Dark by Bryce Moore. And it was like a historical thriller. Like I told you, I read a lot of freaking thrillers. It was a solidly weird month. Everyone else is reading like summary reads, beach reads, fluff. There's me just like hitting the thrillers all summer long. So this one is about Mary Churchill. And yes, that Churchill. Her father is Sir Winston Churchill, who is the prime minister during the war. Now, she goes to London to be with her family because she's bored of being in the country. And she meets a woman and they connect. And she's like, I want to meet up with you the next day. I'd like you to buy you a dress for your new job. She's like, oh, that's so nice. So they agree to meet in the morning. Well, she goes and grabs the dress and this woman doesn't show up. So she starts walking back to where she knows she's staying and finds her dead. She's been murdered. So Mary takes on the job of the police, because the police are busy, right? Of going and doing the door knocking, the talking, the stuff they would normally do, but people don't want to talk to police. So Mary gets right into this mystery of trying to figure out who's killing these women. Mostly ladies of the night, but the woman that she spoke to wasn't a lady of the night. So it was actually a really good thriller. It had a little, to me, I thought it had some like horror-y tones in there too. And I actually really enjoyed it. So again, if this is a book that you were thinking about grabbing, I honestly think that the audiobook may be the way to go because I enjoyed the shit out of it. And then I finished off reading Awakened by Laura Elliott. And this one, it's funny because it's listed as a sci-fi, but when I was reading it, it has some, again, horror tones to it. It's all about this woman, and she's a scientist, and her mother got sick with this illness where it will become an issue, right? So they created this science to take sleep from humanity. But the sleeplessness literally turns these people into crazy ass monsters. So basically vampires. So they are trying to figure out how to undo what they've done. But they come across a vampire who has not turned into a feral monster. He can communicate just fine. They don't attack him. The monsters don't attack him. But he understands how to fit in with humanity. It's like he's the missing link. And it was really interesting. Now, I'm going to say it's sci-fi fantasy. It's definitely more sci-fi. There's a lot more scientific stuff in here. And the story is like her talking to him wanting answers to things in exchange for them experimenting and learning stuff about him. Their to and fro is probably where the magic was for me. And it was really interesting book. The problem I had was it seemed to finish really abruptly. I don't know if there's going to be another installment for this, but it kind of ended on a weird note for me. I don't know. It was a strange one. Like it finished and I was like, is that it? Like, is that fucking it? That was it. So that was my month of actual reading. I also did do Throne of Glass, the deep dives with Hannah. So I did Throne of Glass, Midnight Crown, Heir of Fire, Assassin's Blade, and Queen of Shadows. So I've done all of those, and there's episodes that you can find. You probably can see them in the list of episodes from me, but you can also find them at the Toppling TBR as well. And then I did a book called The Shattered King. I got a paperback copy of it, but I noticed that NetGalley had it on audio, and I knew I'd be faster if I listened to it. And it was okay. And that book is out today. Charlie Holmberg, I think, is the name of the author. Don't quote me on that. Something like that. Now, it was okay. Like, the prince was born and there's something seriously wrong with him, and the court sends out for people with magical powers or healing abilities to try and fix the son because he's next in line for the throne. And they find a girl, and she has there's something about her that's different. Now, she died and her sister brought her back and gave her life for her twin sister. So it was interesting. Like, the plot was really interesting. It was really slow. Like, I'm glad I didn't read it because I may well have DNF'd it. The pacing was really off for me, and the characters were decent. But honestly, I think the pacing was just enough for me that I probably won't pick up book 2 when it comes out. And then the last one I actually read was Don't Watch Alone. Now, this, like I explained last week or the week before, was a book siren book. And I think her name was Alyssa Daniel. I actually finished it on Thursday. I think I finished it. And it was an interesting book. You can tell that she obviously probably doesn't publish through a big publishing house because there was a couple plot holes, and I thought the title of the book didn't really tell you what the book was about. Like, for me, when you hear Don't Watch Alone and you know it's a VHS tape on the cover, you would assume that the horror part of it is going to come from whatever is on the tape, whatever they watch. That's not it. So it's basically a 80s slasher book, but she is warned to not go to the movies with her friends by this guy, and he's a creep. And then they all get stuck at the mall, and they're all being picked up one by one. It was a good book. Because the name of the movie was Don't Watch Alone. And honestly, I think if she'd have named it something else, that would be better because I felt misled a little bit. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, so we are moving into my TBR for September. Now, like I said, I'm about a week behind now. I was several weeks behind. I'm still catching up on reviews, but whatever. That is an ongoing process for any person who does book reviews or book influencing. We often get behind, like life gets in the way. But I'm hoping that now my son is at school in kindergarten in the morning, so I'll have time because no one's here except me, that I will have time to catch up more. So I'm really excited for that. So the books that are out today. So The Shatter King is one of those books that's out today. I actually did finish it. So it's not on my TBR hopefuls, but the books that are on my hopefuls that I should have read last week and did not because I was playing catch up with the week before's books. But I'm going to tell you which books right now are out today. So like I said, The Shattered King, that's out today. I have finished it. I just haven't reviewed it yet, which I will do once I'm finished here because then I can post later on today. So what we have is Bees in June by Elizabeth Bass Palmer. I got the audiobook of this one because I saw it all over Instagram. Like, people were posting about this incessantly for about a week. So I will be hopefully finishing most of these today. So the next one is Witch You Would by Leah Amador. Again, anything with the word witch in it is going to set me on fire and I'm going to go for it. The Dating Prohibition by Taj McQueen. And then, last but by no means least, Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. And the reason that this book excited me no end when I received a copy of it is because it's a prequel to Divine Rivals, which happens to be one of my favorite duologies, which I guess now is not technically going to be the case because I think she renamed the series The Enchanted Letters, or maybe it was always called that, but now it's not a duology. I think it's going to be a series. And I don't know if she's maybe going to create more books that kind of fill in the gaps because this book was more about the magic. I'm already halfway through. I started it yesterday and I'm already halfway through because it was quite gripping. And for me, I think it's already going to be a 5 stars because I enjoyed the absolute shit out of it. So those books you can find out in the wild today. Now, all of these books I picked because people were talking very favorably about them. So personally, I probably would go and buy all of these today if, you're not a mass book spender like me, I would definitely grab a copy. So, what's next? So, this is going to be the rest of the month's reading for me. These are what I already have. Okay. So, I already have these books, and these books have to be completed before the end of the month, which is why I have picked them. So, I've got Wounds by Sarah Bladell, and this one is also a mystery thriller. And I'm not even joking. Okay. Do you know how this one hooked me? The words abandoned building police investigation. That was literally it. And the cover was kind of cool. So I'm like, wow, I'm really easy. That's pretty sad. So the next one is The Vanishing Place by Zoe Rankin. And this one, it comes on the 16th. And I am book touring for this book. So I think this one has to be next after I have finished the rest of Wild Reverence, because I have to make sure that the review is written before the 16th, because that's my blog date to post. But it looks absolutely phenomenal. And again, it's a thriller. I'm going to be all thrilled out by the time we get to like my Halloween reading, which is when I usually do horror thrillers. So yeah, I kind of screwed myself. No, I'm freaking joking. I kind of screwed myself. But this one is also a debut and it looks really good. So I'm excited for that. And then I've got A Tour to Die For. And this one is part of the A Serial Killer's Guide to San Francisco Mystery. And it's by Michelle Chouinard. I think I said that right. I apologize, Michelle, if I did not get your last name right. And I really enjoyed the first book. So this woman, Capri, she literally does a tour of all the places where true crime has happened. And I really enjoyed the first book because there was a lot of other mystery stuff going on in her personal life that I really enjoyed. So I'm really excited to get to this one. And honestly, I think that it's probably going to be books that I buy for my trophies. I have a thing about when I read ARCs on my Kindle or listen to an audiobook, if I really love a book, I'm going to buy the hardcover from my shelf. So I think this is going to be necessary because book one was brilliant. So I'm anticipating this one to be really good too. And The Accidental Rewrite by Millie Johnson. And this one is, oh, here we go. It's a romance. Finally, we're getting out of the darkness. But this is also satire. So I really enjoy books that have humor in them as well as romance. So apparently it's got the charm of the 1980s rom-com Overboard, one of my favorite movies. That's probably why I picked this, because it's, you know, when they say things like, hey, for people who like blah, blah, blah. Well, Overboard's one of my favorite movies. I must have watched that movie a million times when I was younger. So I'm excited for that one. Maybe I'll bump that one up on the list a little bit. And then I got Witch of the Wolves by Kaylee Archer. And this one is a romantasy. Okay. And you know what? They always show you on NetGalley what the hardcover would look like if you buy it. And it's got some really pretty sprayed edges. So I might put that one on pre-order if it's any good. I think it's got sprayed edges, so I might buy it anyway because I'm kind of a loser like that. Whatevs. But this one looked really interesting. So this girl, Cordelia, she's a 23-year-old witch hidden in the human world. So for me already is going to be a win because I love books where like magical people have to hide who they are. And then I got The Sleepless by Jen Williams. And this one's a young adult. Oh, good. I've got a little bit of reprieve from thrillers by the sounds of it, as well as, you know, serial killers and stuff. Because apparently I'm on a roll with that. And this one is the girl is a guardian of the wild and dangerous monster forest. All right, I'm already sold. That sounds great. I've got The Unconventionally Elle by Jordana Weber. And again, this one was all over Instagram because it's a romance, and most of the people I follow on Bookster tend to be romance readers. So it looks really good, and it's got a 4-star rating from other NetGalley users, so it should be interesting. And then I got Young Fools by Liza Palmer, and that one is women's fiction. Now, I think I grabbed this one because, yeah, I think my friend Laura got it. And she was like, you have to read this book. It's phenomenal. It's right in your wheelhouse, Stace. And I'm like, okay, I'm on it. And here we go again. Another thriller. No Rest for the Wicked by Rachel Louise Adams. And this one is Halloween based. So I am so fucking in for that. I think that was it. Now, I have this thing where I'm like, I've still got room to fit in other reads. So this morning, because I'm a knob end, I requested A Killer's Wedding by John O'Leary, An Introvert's Guide to Life and Love by Lauren Applebaum, Pitch Perfect by Tessa Bailey. And that one's part of a series I'm currently reading, so I'm really excited for that one. Pretty Girls audiobook by Karen Slaughter, and What Happened to Lucy Vale by Lauren Oliver. And I've got library holds coming too. So I'm in for it this month. I am absolutely bloody in for it this month. Now, if you see any of the books I have on my TBR for September and you have it and you want a buddy read, drop me an email, thedulteress@gmail.com. I can talk about any of the books that I've already read or any of the books coming up. You can also email me about that. You can find me on Instagram at L'Adulterous Whore, Facebook at L'Adulterous. You can find me on TikTok at L'Adulterous. Don't forget, I have a book merch store. I know there has been a lot of things going on with shipping from Canada to the US. I am exempt because I'm a handmade business. So everything I do, everything is crafted in my home. So everything comes with a Made in Canada sticker on it, and I am exempt. The only fee that it costs to ship to the US right now is an extra $2 for brokerage fees because they take care of that. But considering that shipping to what I ship to the US anyway is usually between $8 and $10, it's going to be between 10 and 12. So it really isn't that big of a deal. And I don't know if you can see these, but I made these really cute book earrings. I'm trying to decide what to keep on Etsy and what to move to the website because Etsy's costing me a fortune in fees and I'm sick of it. So I was thinking about discounting some of my stuff on my website, which is bookaloriandesigns.com. You can still find my Etsy store, Bookalorian Designs, etsy.com. But honestly, all the bargains are on my website. And you're still covered by Square. And the fees are lower. So I can give bigger discounts on my website. So if you are in the US and you want to order from me, you can always reach out to me first just to make sure that you're not going to get hit with tariffs because I already got my certificate for compliance. So it should be completely fine. But I know that people are not buying from Canada for this point right now. And anybody in Canada wanting to buy my merch, as long as it fits in a large envelope, shipping is only $3. So there you go. I'd stuff that puppy full of crap and have myself a book merch day. Now, I hope you have the reading week that you deserve, my friends. And I will be back on Friday. And I think I'm going to do a Read Like a Rory episode. And then on Saturday, I'll be doing my next installment of the deep dive because we had to split Queen of Shadows into two parts because that book is a fucking monster. I don't know if you've read it, but it's like almost 700 pages. So we had to split it. But I will be back on Friday and it will probably be Angela's Ashes. But we'll find out on Friday. Take care, readers. Have a great reading day.